tell us your relationship to purist.
Oh my goodness, purist. Well, you're a purist, I'm a purist. Purist is for people who are looking for wellness and good health in their lives. It's a toolbook, it's a guide to give you direction and inflection and reflection on how to be your best self.
I love it.
And you talk about hope. Well, hope is a big pillar of wellness. It's probably the primary pillar of wellness.
Yes.
And without it, none of the others can survive.
You have many covers in your book. We've had everyone from Oprah Winfrey to Tracy Ellis Ross and Christy Brinkley, and who are some of the others? Hold up some of the covers you have.
So Jennifer Aniston, this is one of my favorites. She's a true wellness practitioner. She has been biohacking since, the beginning of her career.
Yeah.
What a lot of these celebrities are realizing is that it all begins within.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So when you can create the light and the glow from within,
right.
it emanates without.
So many people think about the lights, camera, action outside, but it only can take a picture of the beauty that's coming from within you, and then it can capture that. So lights, camera, action, but from within to nourish your soul. And nourish is an important word. You wrote an article. If we could show that, the PDF of it, but it's in the Purist magazine with Tracy Anderson on the cover. But it was about Selah by the Sea, which is for people to be by the sea, by the water. Many inner city business women don't have the water, and so they don't stop. And
they
so
don't have nature.
They don't have nature, so we take them away. Some seaside to say stop for all of the things you talked about to happen for them, and you can see the joy return to them by the fourth day as they're leaving.
That is a beautiful experience that you're creating for people.
Yeah.
Because only in retreat can we reflect.
Right.
And when we pause, suddenly our creative, intuitive nature comes forward.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
The most creative, inspirational moments happen in quietude.
And quietude. So it's retreat, and so we start with the R word. We say, everybody bring the R word that you need during this retreat, and we have restoration, rest. I mean, all of the things, and it's like we couldn't stop long enough to do it on our own, but we can now stop long enough to say this is what we need to do for the rest of our life. So all of the things you talked about, we need to retreat to restore and be re-energized and enhanced.
Yeah, and it's about sort of this notion of rejuvenation.
Yes.
The only inevitability in life is that, it will end.
It will end. Yes.
So how do we do it in the most graceful possible way where we feel our best and we get to enjoy it? Right?
So how do you bounce back from burnout? So I burnt out. I was a pastor, a single pastor in Lower Manhattan with a population that had a lot of needs. And in my 7th year, I just burned out. But I had not put any boundaries, but I got a gift of a sabbatical year up at Harvard on the business school campus. And I walked every day around the river until I got my rhythms, my chakras back. And so I wrote this book, Too Blessed to Be Stressed. How do you bounce back from burnout? What do you do when you feel the stress coming in? And if it hits you, how do you bounce back from the point of crisis?
Wow. First of all, I have to read that book.
Yes, you do.
Too Blessed to Be Stressed.
Words of Wisdom for Women on the Move is the subtitle.
But what a beautiful title of humility.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
So humility is a cornerstone of wellness.
Yes.
And when we find moments of grace, gratitude, humility, moments of awe, inspiration, you walk down the beach, wow.
Yes.
Thank you. Like this is a gift,
Yes.
right? So those are the ways we can channel our own grace and find a moment, a precious moment,
right,
to pause and say, okay, this isn't so stressful anymore.
The name of our show, what brings you hope?
100% my children.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, I think about them and the light goes on inside, and what can I do for them? What do they need right now?
Yes.
How can I get them on their path so that they stay on their path?
Yes.
And so that they can shine as humans.
Exactly.
Right?
I love it. I have 2 sons, 2 adult sons, but I'm still mom, and they still check in with me and want advice, which is a great thing. But thank you, mother, editor, wife, Purist magazine, publisher. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us. So what's been the most exciting thing for you as executive director?
Well, I think the most exciting thing has been creating and helping to create an organization that has a true connection with so many people of so many different backgrounds in the East End community.
Yes.
That's definitely, it's gratifying, it's fulfilling, it's why I came here, it's what I enjoy doing. At the end of the day, what really makes it deeply exciting is the sense of purpose that it drives in me and in all of the people who are now a part of it, which is vast. We have a large number of community stakeholders.
And you're not only somebody who comes in to do this work, but you're a resident of Sag Harbor.
That's right.
So
That's right.
what's it like being a resident? What brings happiness and hope to you as a resident?
Well, I think that first of all, it's a really beautiful place to live.
Yes.
Still. Geographically, just physically, in terms of nature and the architecture, the history, it's really very beautiful, which is such a generative thing.
Yes,
It just really heals us. It feeds our souls
Yes.
to be in a place of beauty constantly. So that's huge.
Yes.
The history of Sag Harbor is also something that I find so inspiring, and it is a culturally complex,
Yes.
really nuanced place, and much more than people think about, much more than I was aware of
Yes.
before I moved here from Manhattan 2.5 years ago.
So the show is called Headliners of Hope.
Yes.
What are you hopeful about?
Oh, wow. I'm hopeful in the power of human potential.
Ooh, power of human potential. Say more.
I think we're all understanding that the world where we live in together, has become a really polarized,
Yes, it
divisive
has.
place.
It has.
And it sometimes feels that there's a certain kind of darkness that comes with that, because there's this extreme black and white.
It is.
Right?
No shades of gray or any other
Correct,
color.
of
Yeah.
nuance. There, it's just sort of out the window.
Yes.
And that can be really hard to reckon with, to understand the challenges of people coming together as a humanity. And where is that going to lead us? My wife sent me a quote recently from James Baldwin
Okay.
that said that, I'm going to paraphrase, but that love is the solution, yet love is the least popular choice for everybody right now. That it's the hate is something more popular than love, which, broadly feels true. So what do we have? How are we going to overcome all of these things that have happened since that time of James Baldwin? It was probably 60 years ago that he said that, right?
It was, yes.
So how do we overcome now this infrastructure that includes the digital age, that includes socioeconomic disparity, all of these things that reinforce this polarity?
Yes.
And I think the best chance we have is human potential, of people looking inside of themselves. For some people, that's their hearts. For some people, that's their minds.
Exactly.
And deciding, like, I'm here for you. We can make this possible.
And I'm going to be all in with what I have to bring to the table.
Yes,
really.
Exactly. Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, let's lift this, yes.
My question for you, Sujay, is what have you left to accomplish? Like, what is a dream of yours that you're still on the path towards, but you know you're going to fulfill, but you haven't gotten it yet?
I'm on the path, though. I'm mentoring a group of women leaders who are mentoring another group of women leaders. So I'm like a senior mentor, and they have about 2 more years in this program, and like sitting at my feet. And when I see a whole nother generation of women leaders who received from me what they could get or wanted to receive, that's a pinnacle for me. My own children, my sons, are on their paths now, and so seeing them navigate the world, I can see myself in them, but now they have to make their own choices and decisions. So I'm at that place of sage, might be the right word, where I can sit back and just celebrate kind of the journey, because it was a hard one, being female, being Black in America, being a single mom for a part of the journey. So I had the school of hard knocks, but I was not knocked down by it.
Right.
So for me, I'm seeing the legacy happen.
So for you, your legacy is helping other female leaders.
Oh, yeah. Become women. My organization is called Women on the World Stage.
Oh, wow.
So that they can go anywhere, be in any room, and know how to enter it and feel comfortable in it.
I love that.
Well, Matriarch is a platform that celebrates women and LGBTQI plus owned businesses.
Wonderful.
And in all their glory and everything how they contribute to society.
So now talk about starting a business, of course, you have the corporate mindset, you understand finances, you understand ordering and things like that. But what makes a successful business? And that's the assumption that it is successful. What makes a successful business?
You know, in corporate, everybody was in their silos and everybody was in their boxes.
Right.
It wasn't until I worked for ABC Carpet and Home for many years, and
Oh.
that company was sort of my first entry into entrepreneurship, even though it was a large store. You know, there was an owner, she was present, Paula Cole, who was, you know, was my mentor, and I still, you know, I'm still in touch with her. She's amazing. But she was there, she was hands-on, but she also had to be very creative. She had to improvise. And so I think entrepreneurship, you have to be willing to improvise and to make
Yes.
mistakes and
Okay.
to not care so much about your own failures
Yes.
and to test. And so you can't, like, when you start, you don't know anything. You
Really,
just,
you start, you know?
you have no
Exact-
idea.
Mhm.
I've had so many iterations of my store and I had to try so many new things. And you also have to let go of perfectionism, which is
That's
my
important.
biggest challenge.
Yes, yes.
Because when you start, you have to just start with what it is and see.
And make something out of it. You know, have a couple of lemons, you can make lemonade, you can make a lemon slice, a pound
Could
cake.
be all
But
kinds
you,
of things.
exactly, but you have to start with what you have. So you talked about failures and not being a perfectionist. And I kind of say you can fail your way to success, but it's owning up to sometimes we don't do it right. Sometimes it's just not the right time or right fit. Talk about
Yes.
that.
I mean, this is where it's really hard to, first of all, women especially, I feel that we are raised to always look perfect, to be perfect, to do
Yes.
things perfectly.
Yes.
A lot is asked of us.
Yes.
We're criticized if you do this, we criticize if you do that. So that societal pressure really doesn't help us a lot.
No, it doesn't.
But as you get older, I feel like you start to own yourself, you know, and your own flaws, and you start to get to know yourself
Right.
more. And I think that's the key. I think for accepting failure is to know yourself. I don't think that I'm going to fail, but I'm okay if I fail.
Right, exactly.
And not to beat yourself up so much and for so long. I mean, you can just say, well, that didn't feel great. I hate that I failed.
Exactly.
And then try to move on.
What are you hopeful about?
I am hopeful that women will continue to lift each other up and will continue to support each other. I think I grew up and I was born in 1970.
Oh, wow.
And when I grew up, women were not encouraged to support each other. There
No.
was a lot of competition. There was
Totally.
the whole lack of, mentality. And I'm just so happy that it's no longer,
Yeah.
I'm happy that my child is growing up in a different sort of environment.
That's so healthy, yes.
And I think we face a lot of adversities already,
Yes.
and women of color even more, as you know. And I think if you don't unite, and the whole Women Unite thing, if you don't
Yes.
support each other, things were never going to get better. But I think we are on our way, and I think that I do have hope that things will get better and better if we continue to just support each other and
Yeah.
to lift each other up. That's my hope.
Recently, and I'm not sure when this airs, but recently I went to the Democratic convention, but two of my friends, my peers, actually ran the convention.
Wow.
And I came back and I sent them flowers, and I was so glad I was able to celebrate them. You know, when you've worked in government and the political environment, people are like, so are you going to go in the administration? My thing is, that's what they do, and that's their lane, and to celebrate them. And I think
Yes.
that's so important for women, to celebrate each other. We're at a really great place where we can sit together. Diversity is happening here.
Yes.
And we are confident in who we are, walking in the lane that we're supposed to look with. So I
Yes.
guess the last question is purpose. What do you think your purpose is?
I always felt great when I was helpful in whatever way. If somebody needed information, I could find the information.
Right.
So I think my purpose is to help people somehow, whether it is through fashion, through women's, rights. I
Right.
think in however way. And I think that as I get older and as we all get older and evolve and our lives change, maybe those things will change. Like what it looks like now is through a store
Yes.
and through clothes.
Yes.
Maybe tomorrow it'll be through something else. But I think
Yes.
it's the helping makes me feel like I'm useful.